Welcome to the Irish Expat Podcast. In today's episode, we will be covering the amazing and incredible Lake Garda. We'll be chatting about why we went to Lake Garda, the towns of Densenzano, Sirmione, Malcesine, Riva del Garda, and Limone, transport, accommodation, food and fun, the value for money, and some overall tips if you're planning on visiting Italy. Hi, I'm Jane.
And I'm Cormac.
And welcome to the Irish Expat Podcast. We've been on the road for over a year, travelling the lengths and breadths of Italy.
Season 1 is all about our travels from the southern city of Naples to Lake Garda in the north.
We'll be giving you our best tips and tricks and talking about our highlights and mistakes.
And how we've ended up moving to Florence.
Make sure you're subscribed, and if you like this episode, then please give us a 5-star rating. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at altlivin and find out more about us on altlivin.com. The big Lake Garda episode.
Lake Garda, the Ireland of Italy.
Oh, filled with Irish people.
More Irish than Italians. Fucking hell.
Let's talk about some fun facts about Lake Garda first. So it's divided between the north and the south. The north is like much more mountainous and beautiful and amazing and looks like Switzerland, and it's incredible. And the south is like more beachy. It's a few degrees warmer. It's easier to get to by train and stuff. Mount Baldo, do you want to talk about it?
Mount Baldo, so one of the first big mountains in the Dolomites. So in the winter, it's a big skiing resort. And then during the summer, it's beautiful walkways. Has all the kind of Swiss-style cows with the bells.
It's so beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, no, it's a beautiful mountain.
Yeah, so Lake Garda is Italy's largest lake, and it is a freshwater lake. And if you listen to our previous podcast, you'll know how excited I was about that because there's no jellyfish.
There's no jellyfish.
No swimming. And our final fun fact is it is extremely popular with Irish tourists.
Yeah, any Irish people that go to the north of Italy end up going to Lake Garda. And very, very reasonably so, because it's absolutely gorgeous and it's not madly expensive.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So
what we love.
So why did we go to Lake Garda? We've been to Lake Garda twice.
Yes.
So the first time
I've been there 3 times.
You've been there 3 times.
I went on a school trip to Lake Garda.
Yeah, you fancy pants.
From a school in Leitrim life. I don't know how we swung that, but
I don't know.
Hey, you know.
Like we went to Esker and like we went to like religious monasteries.
Yeah. They were just like, let's bring them to Italy. Let's just fucking Venice,
we
Verona.
went to Delphi 3 times.
Sucks to be you.
I know, yeah. Oh no, we just went to Lake Garda, you know yourself. So yeah, Cormac had been there when he was a teenager. Sure, that was only 2 years ago. But yeah, so Cormac had been there when he was a teenager, and I think you were actually the one who gave me the heads up about Lake Garda.
Yeah. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, because I wanted to go to Lake Como because obviously, you know, Instagram, Pinterest, all the rest of it, and Lake Como was just not in the budget at the time, or so we thought.
Well,
we
thought.
We'll be talking about Lake Como in our next episode. But yeah, so we decided to go to Lake Garda kind of towards the very end of our trip.
Yeah.
And we went to, how many places did we go to originally? 4, was it?
Originally 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
4. Yeah.
4. And then we went back a few months later to go and visit my parents. They were staying in Limone. Mm-hmm. So we've been to 5 different, pretty much the main towns across Lake Garda.
Yeah.
We've sailed up and down the feckin' thing, I don't know how many times.
The boats.
But it is absolutely gorgeous, and it would be my favorite holiday destination. Like if we ever had a week off and had a load of money, I'd be
go to Lake Garda in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I
100%.
would. It'd be a tough choice between Lake Garda and Naples, Salerno.
Yeah, if we were going if it was really, I don't know, if it was really hot, you'd love to go up there because it's kind of a little bit cooler up in the North Lakes, you know. But then you don't have, the Salerno has that lovely breeze.
Yeah.
Seaside breeze. But no, Lake Garda as a holiday destination in itself, with the amount of towns and villages and the kind of little variety that you can get in different places, you have so many options.
So many options. So yeah, we'll go through our regular transport, accommodation, food and fun, and we'll talk about a few hotels and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
If you are from any country and would like to visit for a couple of weeks, or a week, or 2 weeks, or forever.
Okay. Do what we did, never come back.
So transport is probably going to be the harshest section about Lake Garda.
Yeah, more than likely,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So to get to Lake Garda, it's a bit of a dose. Not gonna lie. You can fly into Venice, you can fly into Verona, or you can fly into Milan. Milan's probably your best bet. It's only about 50 minutes on the train from Milan up to Densenzano. But as we said at the beginning of this podcast, it is divided between the north and the south of the lake.
Yeah.
We will be doing a battle at the end of this episode to see which we prefer, but I'm going to say from the outset that I prefer north.
I prefer north as well, but unfortunately, with the train lines and everything for Densenzano, they all run through the south.
Yes.
So
you have to it's planes, trains, and automobiles, pretty much. So
yeah, exactly.
So you get on your plane, fly into whichever airport, then you get a train, most likely into Densenzano, and then you have to get on a boat. So do check that. We'll talk about it in our Lake Como episode, but we were with some friends who were staying for a couple of days in Lake Como and then decided to go to Lake Garda, and it's extremely difficult to get there. It takes a long time.
Yeah, they just decided to rent a car at the end of it because it was just the easiest thing to do.
And cheapest.
And cheapest, yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, but so transport. So it takes an hour, pretty much an hour from Milan, or it takes 2.5 hours from Florence. So pretty much the same distance between La Spezia, like to get to La Spezia.
Yeah.
So if you want a little bit of seaside or lakeside action, getting up to Lake Garda is not bad. But the ferries are divided then between north and south. So if you're in the south of the lake, there's ferries that go pretty much every 20 minutes all around the south. Vice versa, if you're up in the north, there's ferries going all over. But to get from the north to the south or vice versa, it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, so you'll see in each destination there's a gigantic map all laid out in grid. That there's like 4 red, all in writing, red lines that are the fast boats. There's only 3 or 4 a day, maybe even just 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they link the north and the south lakes. They're the best ones to get, but also the most popular.
Yes.
So
it
is tricky.
Yeah, and it's tricky to find the ports, and it's tricky to find information online. So we will put a link to all of the ferry information in the bio wherever you're listening to this. There'll be a link on the description. But yeah, so Densenzano is kind of like the train hub, a port hub for the south, and then Malcesine would be the kind of main port for the north.
We call it kind of the midway point. It's not really, but it is kind of the most central town of the North Lake.
Yeah,
the north
so
side of
if
the
you can
lake.
get to Malcesine, then you're laughing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're staying in like Limone, Riva del Garda, anywhere up the north, you have to kind of go through Malcesine if you're getting the boat.
And then your last boat options will finish at like coming back down from north to South Lake at like 6 o'clock, I think I remember.
Yeah.
6 or 7 o'clock. So you have to be, your boat times have to be snappy. You have to be well organized, get up in the morning, get the earliest kind of fast boat if you want to travel from the south to the north.
Mm-hmm.
Just really, really learn that timetable off by heart.
Yeah. So I would probably suggest just staying up the north because it's the most beautiful. If you're on a bit of a time crunch, or if you've got a beautiful hotel in one area, try and get it up the north, because once you get there, then you're laughing. But and like the north has kind of the most popular places for activities and stuff like that. So I would recommend either staying in Riva del Garda, Malcesine, or Limone. If you're planning on staying there for like a week.
Yeah.
If you're only planning on staying there a couple of days, it can be a little bit tricky.
You can get buses, but they're also a pain in the ass. They don't go as often because they can only go on certain sides of the lake.
So our biggest recommendation is, if you have a driver's license, just rent a car.
Yeah.
Go to Milan Airport, or you can go to any car rental place, and there's some really, really cheap cars. You can rent them for like as little as €30 a day, and then you can drive wherever. You can leave it. You can even leave the cars at different destinations. So if you're staying in Lake Como, you can pick up a car in Lake Como, drive all around Lake Garda, and then leave it in Milan Airport like our friends did. So they're really, really flexible on like pick up and drop off spots. So that would be our top tip, is to just drive.
Number one tip, yeah. And also in the transport side of things, now they're developing a cycle path that leads all around the lake. So they're developing like tunnels and different stuff like that to link the whole lake as a massive cycle lane. So you can, I think, start to rent electric bikes if you're very fit and active.
Lugging
Psychopathic.
suitcases behind
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is a really, really up and coming kind of bicycle area. So you can get to Riva del Garda by train if you're going from like Verona or even from Densenzano. It's a little bit awkward. You have to go through, I believe it's called Rovereto. We had to go through there to get back to Florence one time. And also on our transport, the boats and the boat times, you cannot rely on them.
Nope. No, you can't. Because speaking from experience, I tried to get from the North Lake all the way down to Densenzano to get back to work in time, and the boat just kind of stopped in the middle of the lake for
It was
half
just
an
chilling,
hour, 45
maxing,
minutes.
relaxing.
Just, why not? No one, it's Italy, who needs to get around, apparently.
Yeah, it did turn up about 25 minutes late, which
Yeah.
then screwed us getting a train from Densenzano to Milan. And so we ended up getting delayed for about 3.5 hours.
So just be conscious that it's very much on their time, not yours.
Yes.
So just get to the ports in time, check where you're going, your time, schedule, keep everything tight, but also be aware that
you need to leave 2 hours
Yeah.
in between everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a nightmare. We sat in a cafe that was literally underneath the timetable in Malcesine, and we watched just like, oh, the Riva del Garda boat's arriving any minute, and then it just disappeared. Just like in Ireland, it's great.
Yeah.
The buses in Ireland just disappeared off the timetable, and we were like, oh, okay, we're not getting that one.
No.
And the tourist info desk,
They were
I
not
don't know
helpful.
what their timetables are, but like sometimes they're there, sometimes they're outside having a cigarette, they go for a coffee.
Not the most helpful.
Not the most reliable.
So yeah, just your transport. Once you get there, you're laughing, but it can just be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
So transport, that was the harsh bit done and over with. You're there. You're at Lake Garda. You're laughing.
Now you can enjoy it.
Now you can enjoy it. So accommodation. Accommodation. Hotels are king across all of Lake Garda. Airbnbs, there are a few. They're not mighty value, not in comparison to hotels. So the best hotels that we stayed in was when we went to Limone, we stayed where my parents were staying, and it was called Hotel Splendid Palace. Wasn't quite a palace, but it was a very nice hotel.
But it was a very, very nice hotel.
We seemed to get a lot more of a modern room than my parents did. But my parents were actually on a package deal. So a lot of hotels around like Garda, they'll offer like a 6-day or a 7-day package deal where like your food's included, you get your hotel room, all that kind of stuff.
All you can eat buffet, breakfast and dinner, like, beers on draft, Prosecco on draft.
And they got it for an exceptionally reasonable price.
The hotel itself was stunning.
It was amazing.
The rooftop was the bar, so you had an amazing view over the lake. An amazing view.
Stunning. All looking at the beginning of the Dolomites.
Yeah. You see the mountain range. You had the pool down below outside. Really relaxing. If you're looking for a nice chill holiday, and they also had like loads of entertainment on in the patio as well. They had like Brazilian
dancers. Acrobatics, all that kind of stuff.
It was crazy.
But yeah, so there are lots of different hotels. We kind of everything was in the price range. Down the south, it was a little bit cheaper, so we ended up getting some hotels for in and around the 85 to 100 euro mark. And then once we went up the north, we decided to go for hotels with pools. It was our last tranche of the holiday, and we really wanted to like chill out before, because we didn't know where we were going at this stage. We didn't know if we were moving to Italy. We were in the process of actually trying to get an apartment in Florence at that stage.
That we actually got on a boat
in Lake Garda. Yeah, we did a house viewing through Zoom on a boat in Lake Garda. So yeah, we just decided, it's our last week of the holiday. Let's go all out. So yeah, we decided to go with hotels with pools with really nice views and stuff like that. In Malcesine, we got a really good value hotel with a pool, and I believe that was around 119 euro, 120 euro. So, and that was a pretty nice hotel. It wasn't amazing, a 3-star.
3-star. It was, the room was nice, clean, simple. The pool was
small but cute. So yeah, hotels are king. Another mention. Do you want to talk about Casa Canario? You can't really know the Riva del Garda hotel.
So bit of a mad one. It was very funny. I arrived up to check into the hotel. I'd left Jane down a little cafe by the waterfront, and I went in, checked in, went into the bedroom. Very randomly, I was like, "Where the fuck is the toilet?" I looked in, saw a massive mirror. I was like, "Oh, I just think it must be in there." Finally, found where the bathroom was. Walked into a sauna and jacuzzi style corner bath unit inside our bathroom, which was in the 30-degree heat. Not what we were
Not what we
looking
were
for.
looking for.
No,
Yeah.
I still use the sauna, but
we did it for the novelty, in
the
fairness.
novelty more than anything. To say I used a sauna in a hotel room, but
It was a bit strange.
a little bit odd. Nice hotel, but a little bit strange.
Now, I'd say for the weather, or like in the winter, it'd be fab.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was called Casa Canarino. Again, all of our hotel recommendations are in our 6-week guide. It's free to download on our website. But what did end up happening was that hotel lost our booking. We'd booked it through booking.com, and we were very late to check in because it was our last official night of the holiday. I was getting a little bit stressed out because we had nowhere to live, and I was trying to book hotels for like Milan or Florence for the following few days, but we were obviously on a tight budget. And then they kind of hit us with, "We've lost your booking, but we can give you an upgrade." So we thought, fantastic.
Free upgrade. Excellent.
Yeah. So we will talk about this cafe shortly, but I decided to remain at the cafe for reasons that I will explain shortly. And Cormac went and checked us in, and there was the spa and, crazy spa bathroom.
Gorgeous.
And it was fab until we got landed with the bill the following morning, and I realized that we had to pay an additional €97,
90 euro, yeah.
which I was not best pleased about.
No.
Because they had just offered us an upgrade, but they didn't mention that it would be.
Yeah, they never stipulated that accepting the upgrade meant that we had to pay the cost. They just said, "We lost your booking, there's an upgraded room."
Yeah,
and then that's it. They never said you'll have to pay for the room. They never said that it was
so
their
no
fault
bene.
included. No bene.
Yeah.
No fucking bene.
Especially seeing as I didn't get back to the hotel until about 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we were out the gap by 10. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like I got my values worth where we paid
For
maybe
an upgrade,
€210 for that room. But there are lots of different options for hotels all across Lake Garda. Just make sure that you can actually get to them.
Yes.
Gonna let Cormac take over food.
Okay, so, well, food in general around Lake Garda is absolutely beautiful, all in all. Especially, I gotta mention, I'm a wine lover. Lake Garda wine is absolutely beautiful. So if any wine lovers are out there, highly recommend. Highly. For food itself, in Densenzano, we went to a lovely trattoria, pizzeria, and Teca Alessi. So it was a very traditional restaurant that we got recommended from a waitress in another bar. So that's what we always kind of tend to do as well. If we made friends with a waitress at a bar or a waiter, we'd ask them, "Hey, any tips? Where would you go for dinner?"
Now,
so
the Google reviews aren't amazing for it. We wouldn't have picked it off our Google reviews. But...
No, it's not highly reviewed, not highly rated, but we have to say we got like a really, really beautiful like sliced beef dish with rosemary, and like we got potatoes, some pasta dishes. Everything there was beautiful, well priced, well cooked. We've gone there I think twice or three times.
Three times now, yeah, because
And
it's a great stopping off point.
It's a good
waiting
stopping
for the
off point,
ferries.
but it's waiting for the ferries at the very south of the lake. So it's when you're going up, you want a good big lunch. So we've gone there 3 times, and it's been very consistent. The food has been we got the beef 3 times, the sliced beef.
Good carafes of Prosecco.
So yeah, the Vino della Casa, always a recommendation, by the way, because house wine in Italy, all across the board, I've probably said this several times over the podcast, but house wine in Italy is like a medium to good quality wine in Ireland.
Yeah.
And it's super, super cheap.
I think you can get like a 1 litre carafe of Prosecco for like a tenner.
Yeah, it was like 11 or 12 euro for the litre. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. So that was beautiful. Going across then to just further north is Sirmione. So we went to Cafe Pizza Margherita twice. So they were lovely. We had lunch there and then dinner.
Cheap, cheerful,
pesto pastas, kind of traditional dishes of the north of Italy. So your cingale, which is your wild boar pastas, usually with pappardelle, the really thick pasta. That's beautiful. So we had that, and then pizza there was actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, it was.
Because obviously pizza is more famous down towards the south, and then up towards the north, it's more meats, your pasta dishes, traditional hearty foods. Pizza was really good there. I would say probably our favorite breakfast in the same town in Simone was Barla Venezia.
So at this stage, we were like 6 weeks into their holiday, or like maybe 5 weeks. And I was even talking to a lovely Swedish guy yesterday who's on his honeymoon. You get sick of pizza and pasta.
You do.
You wouldn't think it, but you do.
But my God, you do. And breakfast here is very kind of split between Italians usually just go for like a little continental breakfast of fruit, croissants, pastries, coffee. Nice and simple. That's it. Then they go for a big lunch.
Yeah, they're not a brunch.
No, they're not brunchers. They're very much lunch and dinner people.
Yeah.
So it's really nice for us when we can go find the usual like scrambled eggs, avocado toast, bacon. So we went to this lovely little cafe. Now it was brilliant value. I think for me as well, it was one of the cheapest places where I got fresh orange juice, because that's always a killer. 4, 5, 6 euros sometimes. But I think for this place it was only like, to add it on to my meal was €3. Yeah. Which was unbelievable because it was a big, massive pint of orange juice. So highly recommend there for breakfast.
Barla Venezia.
Barla Venezia.
It's just near the port as well. So if you're just stopping off in Sirmione, definitely
recommend. Then across up further north in the North Lake, Malcesine, there's, as soon as you get off the boat, there's the cafe immediately on the right, which you would obviously pick out to just be a tourist trap. But I have to say, it was very well priced. Massive extensive menu,
stunning view of the mountains,
stunning view, like I'm talking
really good for sunset.
Sitting down at the table, 5 meters in front of you is the water, and it's just mountains. The sun comes across, so the sun sets on the west side of the lake, obviously. So when you're sitting on the east side, you see it coming down across the mountain.
Gets very like moody.
Gets really moody. Feels like you're kind of about to meet Gandalf and go on an adventure
to Mount Doom.
To Mount Doom, exactly.
But yeah, Cafe San Marco, and the guy there was really, really nice, like the head waiter, and he gave us like loads of recommendations and stuff. But yeah, also a really good place if you're waiting for a boat.
Well, that's the whole thing, instead of queuing up, you just sit there and drink until the boat's about to leave.
And you got really good Hugo spritzes there, didn't you?
Oh, the Hugo spritzes there were beautiful.
Yeah, so we've been there a couple of times now.
And then I think I'm going to have to just slide this over to you, because our favorite meal in all of Lake Garda came from a little kiosk.
Oh, yeah.
A little kiosk that we have aptly named Sticks.
Oh.
So Jane, please talk about the love of your life.
Okay, I'll give some context. This was at the end of our holiday. We were trying to move to Florence. So we will talk about it in a later episode. You need 4 months rent to
get... We were broke.
We were so broke.
we went on a mad holiday in Italy and went on boats and horse races, and my God.
It got out of hand. So
we started looking for the cheapest beer possible.
Yeah, so we get up to Riva, and again, I just love the north of Lake Garda, stunning views, all the rest of it. But I also like to be right beside the sea or right beside the lake. So we walked around Riva, and there was like some lovely places on the back streets. So we were looking at all the riverside kind of pubs and restaurants, and there were some lovely ones, but by God, were they expensive. And then I saw all we wanted was a beer. We were tired. Yeah. We were lugging our suitcases. We were waiting for this hotel, not sure if we could check in, not check in, all the rest of it. And so there's a place, it'll be listed in the description, called Frigitoria al Porto. And it's just a little kiosk. It's like a little shack.
Little shack, mom and dad cook the food.
The sun comes in.
The sun does the little bit of waitering that's needed.
But I saw this fridge, and the fridge looked cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it had red Peroni,
which is our favorite Italian beer.
Which is super cheap. It's kind of like the builder's tea of beer over here. And I was like, that's the place. So all we wanted was a few drinks. We weren't even, thinking about food at the time.
I saw the kebab sticks.
Yes.
So little kebab sticks, and it was like really reasonable. It was like 6 of them for €4 or €5. I was like,
These little lamb.
lads, I'm a hungry bastard, so I'm always eating. So I was like, we might get, we've had 2 beers now. I was like, I might get some bit of food, bit of munch,
Few
might
little
be
lamb skewers.
try it out. Why not?
So we got these lamb skewers, and by
Oh.
God, now it was a small portion, but they were absolutely delicious.
They were the crack cocaine on a stick. They were just
So I think it was
beautiful.
six skewers for like €4.
€4 or €5,
and they were absolutely amazing. So immediately we ordered another.
So we had 2 portions, and
Okay.
then we were like, "This is class."
Now
beer.
We'll get more beer. So we're right by. Why would we move?
Yeah.
We're right beside the water. We don't know what's going on with our hotel. We don't know what's happening with our lives. We don't know where we're staying tomorrow.
That was Saturday, wasn't it? Saturday, and then on Monday we weren't sure if we were going to be moving to Florence.
Yes, or getting a plane home.
Getting a plane back to Ireland, which is a very strange state of mind to be in.
So I was a little bit stressed, shall we say.
A little bit.
And so I wanted to sit where the cheap beers were and, just drink and enjoy the view and enjoy the mountains because, again, we could have been back in Ireland in 2 days' time. So after maybe my 6th or 7th beer, the chef got talking to us, the dad, and he decided to give us free chips because he said that
he just handed over chips, and I went, no, we didn't order these, and he just smiled and looked at me and went, you need the food.
You will need the food. So now we did laugh back with him and said, we're Irish, they're only small beers, whatever, but they were mighty crack. The mother was lovely. Absolutely lovely. Yeah. So we got a few rounds of skewers, I have to say, throughout the day. Now we got there at about 2 or 3. I didn't leave until 1 a.m.
I only left to
check us in
and ring my father. That was it. I just left to do that, and then for the rest of the day we literally sat in this little family run kiosk.
The son was on duty when we arrived. He went off duty for 6 or 7 hours and then came back on duty. By the time the son came back on duty, he was like, you have to come party with me in Rimini.
He just came back and he was like, you're still here. And we were like, yeah, we're still here. He gave us all the tips, recommendations. Like, he was just a big booming smile, being like, I can't believe it. I can't believe you're still here.
So I think we went, oh God, yeah. But
when we left.
Now, I was worried about the bill, but I thought by the time, if we went for dinner somewhere or if we even went for 2 or 3 pints somewhere else, we would have spent the same amount. So we actually, when we were leaving, we decided to get like a proper takeaway dinner because the burgers looked amazing, like the kebabs. We got like the
kebab paninis. We got like all these different more sticks, obviously.
More sticks. Yeah. So we got, our breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks all there. They were only small beers.
The little beers. They weren't pints.
It was our final night of the holiday. Yeah. And the whole bill came to 130 quid.
The whole bill. We were just like...
So we loved them and they loved us. And
they were like kissing us, saying goodbye. It was absolutely amazing.
So we actually came back the following day because we were waiting for our boat, and we just said, we might as well go back there and get some sticks and have a beer or 2 before we get on the boat. And they were like, you stay here again today?
Yeah, they weren't even open yet when we arrived. So like we were just like, we just wanted to sit down. Obviously we were kind of hungover. And we were like, we just need to sit down. We're waiting on the boat. We're like really tired. And they were like, oh my God, here, take this table. They started whipping out chairs, but like we were fucking royalty.
They were amazing.
They were incredible.
So yeah, Friggitoria al Porto. It's just this gorgeous little, just by the port, this little shack. And by God, they were just so lovely.
Any seafood lovers, they do like a mixed fried seafood of like shrimp, calamari, like just absolutely.
The prawns on skewers.
Were absolutely like everything there. And it was like, the whole thing was for a little takeaway kiosk, there wasn't a dropping of grease. It was all cooked so well. Like really high quality for a little kiosk,
So we will refer to it as sticks from now on.
If you ever hear sticks, that's what we're talking about.
Because everything came on a stick, bar the chips. So yeah, I just have to give them such a shout. I think it's apart from the place in Rome with the pasta, I think it's my favorite restaurant in all of Italy. They're just...
well, look, you could sit there all day.
Could you?
Could you?
I can't imagine. So our last mention of food is just in Limone. we only stayed there for 2 nights, and again, we were staying in the Hotel Splendid Palace, and you were actually able to just because my parents were on that package deal where they could get their all-inclusive kind of, what do you call it, your eat what you want,
All you can eat.
all you can eat kind of package. But we asked them, could we join in? And they said yeah. So I think and now that includes your drinks as well. They've got red
Yeah.
wine, white wine, and stuff. So I think it worked out at like €40 per person, or maybe €30 per person. It wasn't too bad. I think mom handed over like 60 quid for the two of us.
Yeah.
Now it is a little bit of a time crunch. You only get 2 hours to kind of eat and drink and stuff, which obviously if they've got a load of Irish people
But
over
by
there,
God,
they know.
if you're Irish, you'll be fine.
Bringing over like 5 glasses of wine and we'll go. But yeah, so we just ate mostly in the hotel in Limone, so we can't really give you any recommendations for restaurants there.
No, unfortunately not.
So now we move on to fun.
Fun.
Obviously just Sticks. I just recommend going to Sticks.
Just go to Sticks and drink and eat.
But
all the fun you need.
Lake Garda has a huge amount of activity. So we're going to start in Densenzano and we'll work our way up. Do you want to take over?
So Densenzano was one of the nicest little areas for a beach. They have public beach and then private as well. It was the most valuable sunbeds that we found. So they were advertised for €5 for the day. But because it was quiet, the lady was just like, no, €4 is fine. And then we obviously said, because I don't do well in the sun, can we get an umbrella? And then just said, no, it's okay. There's a whole, because there's just a tree line right behind the beach on the path. They were just like, no, we'll put you in the shaded area. So we spent €8.
It was really, really
to sit
nice.
on a lovely loungers. The guys were super friendly and nice. We were asking like, where can we go get beer? They were like recommending which shop to go to.
Yeah, they were really
super kind.
They also had like paddle boats with like slides off the side. I think
Yeah.
you could rent them for like €5 for an hour. And yeah, it was just like a really, really chill beach. It was really nice to get in the water and not be afraid of getting stung by a jellyfish.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely for like a beach and chill day, that was really, really good.
Yeah, I'd recommend Densenzano for that. And immediately when we got onto the beach, we met about 10 Irish people.
Yes. Then we went up. The next place is Sirmione. I didn't find that there was a hell of a lot to do in Sirmione. Some people go because there's a big castle there.
There's a really famous medieval castle with like a moated area, inland port. It's absolutely, it is stunning, but it's also very small town, Sirmione. So there's a beach at the top of it called Jamaica Beach as well, which is kind of like a big bar area, outdoor drinking. We didn't get up that far, but it was highly recommended. It looks nice, but it's
it just wasn't. Sirmione, we just found it was a little bit more geared towards the older tourist, a little bit more expensive. But again, it was totally beautiful.
It was absolutely stunning. Yeah, for sure.
But then we got to Malcesine, so our first northern destination, the midway kind of point, and Malcesine is where Mount Baldo is. And Cormac, you'd been there before when you were...
Yeah, so we went there in our trip as well. So for Mount Baldo from Malcesine, you get a cable car that goes all the way up the mountain. It takes about 20 minutes to go up.
Maybe a little bit longer. It was quite
25 to 30 minutes, maybe. Yeah, about that.
The most gorgeous views of the entirety of the lakes, the Dolomites. You can see the Swiss Alps in the background, loads of paragliders. So you see people coming up with their big backpacks, and then you can watch people just paraglide off the side of the mountain, which is crazy.
It was stunning up there. And like when I first went there in November with my school, all of the places were, well, late October, early November, all the places were closed. And most of the restaurants, there was only one open, but when we went there, everything was open. And they're literally half Swiss, half Italian style. So it's really cool. It's a really interesting atmosphere up there. But you can get to sit up on top of a mountain, look
panoramic
over the
views in the bars,
looking over the Alps, looking over the Dolomites,
and not expensive.
No, that's what we were really surprised about as well, because we thought that maybe if it's kind of like, a little bit of Swiss prices coming in, it would be expensive, but you're not near the Swiss border at all, so it's still Italian prices.
Yeah,
and it's really, really, really
affordable. So I cannot recommend Mount Baldo enough. Again, once it kind of hits November, I believe from mid-November to February is when you can go skiing up there.
Yeah.
It's an extremely small skiing lodge, and there's only a few runs there. But there's some really cute cabins, and if it's like your first time skiing, there's lots of beginner slopes, and it's not that pricey. So if you were again in Italy at that time and you just felt like, oh, sure, I'll pop off for a weekend worth of skiing.
Yeah, it's definitely highly recommended for cheaper skiing.
Cheaper skiing.
Let's just say it that way.
Yeah, if you've never been skiing before and you don't want to invest, then I would
Mount
say
Baldo.
head up to Mount Baldo.
Yeah.
In Malcesine itself, lots of bars, lots of restaurants. It's one of the bigger cities, I would say, or not even city, but like one of the bigger towns.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of bars, lots of restaurants, lots of little cute little shops and stuff like that. And Malcesine, there's a couple of different like paddle boardings or like boat rentals or sailing boat rentals there.
Yeah.
Then in Limone, I was a little bit. Now we didn't get to. We walked the length of the street. Limone is quite small.
Limone is very small. It is extremely probably one of the smallest towns.
Mhm.
And the boats don't even go there that often as well. They don't stop there that often.
Yeah, it's kind of more the local boats. So you'd have to get a
Yeah.
local boat over to Malcesine and then go from there. But it is absolutely stunning. Again, if you had like a beautiful paradise hotel, like we got to do for the couple of nights, then absolutely
well
gorgeous.
worth it. If you want that little quiet time, kind of get away from the hustle and bustle of all the other towns that are very busy, Limone is for you.
Yeah, but in terms of, there's not a lot of like water sports or things like that, and there's no castle or there's no mountain or there's no kind of big, it's not a tourist hotspot.
No, not at all.
And then we get to Riva, and Riva I think is pretty amazing. There's no real beach up there. That is the one.
Nope.
The one downside to Riva. But that is the place all up the very north. That's if you want to go windsurfing, if you want to go sailing, if you want to go kite surfing, if you want to go parasailing, Riva is your spot.
Yeah.
So all around that kind of north, the uppermost northern kind of cove, that's where you want to go if you're into your water sports. It's also a huge destination, because that's where the bike lane has started. So a lot of people will start in Riva and work their way down south, or vice versa. But yeah, so Riva is quite large as well.
Riva is probably one of the largest. It's the largest town in the north for sure. It stretches back like a good few kilometers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of residential there as well.
Yeah, they run their own little festivals as well. I think there was some sort of the ending of a jazz festival when we were there.
Yeah.
So there's like a good few street performers, and like the harbour inlet when you first come in is quite well spread out, quite open. But that is, it's very, very heavy cyclist base at the moment.
Yeah.
And then the water sports as well.
Cyclist, water sports. Now, again, there's lots of boats going between Limone, Malcesine and Riva because they're all up in the north. So, if you were a family going on holiday and maybe we'll say you had teenage sons or teenage daughters who were really into water sports, anywhere up the north is going to be the most suitable for you.
I'll throw a little mention into Gardaland because I went there with my school. So Gardaland is one of the bigger kind of theme parks in Italy.
Is it a water park or is it a theme park?
It's a mix. It's a lot of roller coasters, but then they have some that obviously are water involved, so they finish in the water big splash zones and all that. But it's more of a theme park.
Like, my absolute nightmare.
Yeah, so they have apparently. I remember at the time learning they have one of the fastest roller coasters in Europe. So no, a lot of fun. If you like that kind of thing, it's really, really cool. It's well built up. It's absolutely massive. I think day tickets are about 44 euro at the moment.
They probably do a family ticket as
well.
They
do family tickets, yeah. There's a lot of very, very family-friendly places to go in Gardaland, but it is massive. But we had loads of fun. There were some roller coasters that were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Just insane.
And then Verona isn't too far. You went to Verona on that school tour
as well?
So that
school tour was basically Venice, Verona, and Lake Garda. So we kind of did a mix between them. So Verona is quite close, especially to the southeast side of Lake Garda.
Yeah, it's only 20 minutes on the train from Densenzano, I believe. So Verona, Romeo and Juliet, there's a big garden maze there.
I've been to so Verona has a really famous amphitheater in the center of the town. So when we were there, you can do a little tour that was actually quite cheap. I remember, you can go and walk around the very top of it, and you have lovely panoramic views of Verona. Obviously, the Romeo and Juliet balcony is there, so that's obviously very popular. Has a lot of events in Verona as well. We were there like the Northern Italian rallies are all based through Verona.
There's loads of concerts on in Verona as
But
well.
like that amphitheater has all of the big concerts.
Yeah,
so
Andre Rieu was always playing
Andrew
there.
Rieu, the Three Tenors, like all of those guys, they all play there. It's one of the I believe it's one of the last standing amphitheaters like of that size, Coliseum wise, that is still being used to this day for concerts.
Yeah, I think
so
if
it is stunning.
I think if you already done like the Rome, Florence, and even Venice trip, but you want to come back and see something different, or if you really want to go to Switzerland but you don't have the budget,
then absolutely, yeah.
I think Lake Garda is really good, and I think Lake Garda is really, really good for families. I have to say, like even we went, as a couple in our 20s. I'm definitely in my 20s. As a couple in their 20s, we went with my parents, who would be kind of mid 60s, and everyone could walk around free. We could get in the boats on and off, handy enough. That was fine. There was no issue. But I think also, like, if you had kids and stuff, like, you feel like they're safer swimming in the lake if you're into water sports, stuff like that. I just think that it's a really kind of it's not there's not kind of family hotels or anything like that.
There are some, I have to say, actually in Pesceria del Garda. So that's in the southeast, very southeast, one of the smaller towns. They have family-friendly hotels because of its proximity to Gardaland. And also there is a Cervano Aqua Park, which is just north of Gardaland. So it's a water park. So that side, the southeast kind of side of Lake Garda itself, is very much family holidays, young kids, all of that kind of stuff. So we didn't go there. Like I was there obviously as a kid, and so I would say that area, if you're a family, South Lake is probably going to be more easier to be accessible, jumping between Densenzano and Verona, and then going up along towards Gardaland, Cervano Aqua Park, all that kind of area. Because I remember when we went, we got a couple of budget hotels, and they were just extremely like family orientated. And very cheap.
I think it's the perfect place, Joe, if you're a family and you had teenagers. I think Lake Garda is just stunning. Or if you're a young couple on your honeymoon, you don't want to spend the money on Lake Como, we will talk about that'll be in our next section. But yeah, I just love Lake Garda. I think it's the perfect holiday destination. I cannot recommend it enough.
Because it has just a little bit of everything for everyone. So like depending on the south or the north lake, you can get your
Which
peace and quiet.
segues us into the battle of the north or the south.
Yes. I don't know. Do you want to start here? Because I think we both prefer the north, but the big kind of discussion for the south is that a little bit more built up, easier to access. A little bit more variety, but it's that the north is a little bit less.
It's just spectacular. I think if you're looking for views and if you're looking for like water sports, I think if you're on a honeymoon or a romantic couples trip, I think the north is like the place for you. Or again, if you have teenagers, or if you're an avid traveler, you don't mind, if you've got backpacks or you don't mind lugging suitcases, or if you're into cycling, if you're more of an active person, or you really, really just enjoy beautiful views, I think the north is for you. Whereas if you're looking for that kind of Italian feel, but you have the beach, but there is safety there, you maybe have younger kids, or you enjoy water parks or theme parks, or you want to do more day trips, then definitely the south.
So the south, like, it's surrounded by more flat lands before the mountains, and as soon as you hit the north of the lake, it's literally just steep mountain slopes into the lake. That is it. It's way more less accessible. It's all tunnels. Like for the roads, if you're getting the bus, it's all tunnels in the North Lake all around. But then the south, it's just easier, flatter, and more accessibility.
I just have this like vision of, because I got to go to Limone with my parents, I just have this vision of like, if I were a teenager, like maybe 13, 14, 15, like being given a little bit of pocket money and being able to like go in and out of all the little craft shops. And I think it's like the perfect kind of, you can let the kids, if they're teenagers, off for an hour or two, and they can't get into too much trouble unless they get on a feckin' boat,
Absolutely.
So
there was a couple of little swimming spots in Malcesine that we noticed. Behind the back, there's the beautiful castle that juts out from Malcesine. And at the back of that, when we were on the boat, we noticed that there's a lot of cliff diving. It's like that seems to be the little place where kids always go. And there's a quiet little public beach along up there as well.
So Malcesine does have a public
hotel. So Malcesine has a little beach, but it's more the south is more organized for the beaches because it just has more beach space because it's flatter.
So I'm going to do Battle of the Towns. It's just a score out of 10. So Densenzano, which is the port, it's where you're going to arrive in on your train, or if you come in the south, or if you come in from an airport, you're going to land into Densenzano. What would you give it out of 10?
I like Densenzano. It was probably an 8.
Yeah,
I've given
it an 8 as well. There's good
Yeah.
restaurants, great beaches. The views are not spectacular, but it was really nice
No,
to
but the
swim in
town
the lake.
itself, is beautiful. The food's very good. Like it has a little harbor area that's underneath the bridge, so it's just kind of
And there's a traveling market that comes to Densenzano as well, with loads of like clothing stalls and food stalls and all that kind of stuff.
travels
and
all around the lake.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what town you're in on what particular day.
Yeah.
We'll try find that information, but I don't think there is much. I think it's very much like they do their own thing.
Yeah. Sirmione.
Sirmione, I'd probably give it was beautiful, but there's not much there for me, so I'd say about a 7. Maybe, yeah.
I'd give it a 7.5. I think, we had a really good brunch. There was that place that you can rent out like the beach stuff, but yeah, it wasn't quite our vibe. I don't think it quite suited.
No, and there was, when we were there, it was very high traffic as well. And I remember landing off the boat, and
it was one of the busiest places.
It was so busy. There was cars trying to get through. So basically, like in between buildings, there's just little arch tunnels, and then like you're walking through, and a car's trying to get through, and there's no wall for you to hug because the car takes up the entirety of the tunnel. It was just a little bit stressy, especially when you're traveling with suitcases and like
some mothers with prams. I was like, oh you poor souls.
Yeah, poor souls.
Then Malcesine.
I love Malcesine because it's very much linked to Mount Baldo, because that's where you go from the cable car up.
Yeah, I wanted to move to Malcesine, to be fair.
I would probably give Malcesine an 8.5.
I'm going to give Malcesine a 9.
Okay.
No, I'll actually give it an 8.5. That's fair. Yeah. Little bit, yeah. I'd say you could get bored of it very easily if you were there for a week.
There wasn't that many bars and restaurants, or like highly dense areas of bars. There is like a lovely little section in the very front of the town. But apart from that, it is scenically beautiful, because obviously you're looking up at Mount Baldo, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and our first time going to Malcesine, we actually didn't go up to Mount Baldo because we had less than 24 hours there. It was only when we went to Limone and got the boat across. Yeah. And we went up there, I was like, oh my God. So I think if I went to Malcesine for like 4 or 5 days, I would definitely go up to Mount Baldo at least twice.
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, I'll be interested to see what it's like to go to the ski resort and stuff like that. So, and I'll definitely break my legs. So
I don't know if we said it though, but the queues for the cable car can be insane.
Yes, book it in advance.
Because you can walk straight through. So it is like, I remember we were sitting outside with your parents for like 45 minutes to an hour maybe.
Yeah, we didn't quite plan it that far ahead, and you can't book it just like the hour before. You need to book it 24 hours in advance, I believe. So yeah.
We'll link all of the description into the guide.
Yeah, we'll put the website on it.
But look into it before you go. If it's Mount Baldo something you want to do the bit of research and check out the cable car booking, because that is, because it was expensive.
And it was €22, I believe, a person. So
I remember for the 5 of us, it was like 120 or something. Yeah, like that.
But we got the full day out of it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, if all the stuff is open on the top of Mount Baldo, the bars and everything.
If you just paid to get the cable cart up and the cable cart back down, I would have said that was value for money. Do you know?
It's gorgeous.
But yeah, the fact that there's so many walkways and there's bars, restaurants, really reasonably priced up there, it was just a highlight. Riva, I am going to give a 9. I think that Riva is probably my favorite out of the lot, apart from Malcesine. I think Malcesine and Riva are on scope, but I love water sports. I love like.
I would have to agree. I think 9 would be the 9 is the go-to there.
Loads of bars, loads of restaurants. There's a huge residential population there as well, which kind of makes it feel more Italian. Yeah. There's cycling, there's just so many activities to do there, and because it's Riva is pretty much the main port as well, up on the most northern side, so there's boats kind of coming and going all the time, so you don't feel like you're just trapped on this little town. Also Riva, we'd mentioned before that you can get a train out of Riva as well.
So that was
So
the whole thing as well. Riva for us is more density in buses. There was a bit more kind of, it had that bus station,
yeah,
like a big bus station, which the other towns just do not have the space for.
yeah,
So Riva is pretty much the transport hub of the north, Lake of
yeah.
Garda. So
Not as well serviced as Densenzano in the south, but
no,
you still
no,
have options to get out of there. So you don't feel totally kind of landlocked there, I think.
yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah,
And then Limone, I think I'd give Limone an 8.5. It's one of the most stunning regions. It does look over Mount Baldo. I think it's like a perfect place for 3 or 4 days to chill out there.
yeah.
But there's not a lot of activities there, and you need to be staying in a nice hotel.
Yeah, so like even earlier on when I was researching before the podcast, I saw that in October, that hotel we stayed in is like 150 euro for the night. So even if you're just looking to get away from people and you just want to chill out
Mm-hmm.
and have a nice hotel with gorgeous views, it's perfect.
Panoramic views.
Panoramic views, yeah, it's
Stunning.
absolutely, because from Sirmione you're basically looking at Malcesine and Mount Baldo itself, so it's just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Breathtaking.
So total scores. Transport. I am gonna give it. I'm probably being too generous here, but I just love Lake Garda so much, so I don't want it to fall too low in the leaderboard
Yeah.
score. But I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 7 as well, because the whole point being now is that we know it a bit better. Like when we first got there, it was a bit overwhelming. Didn't realize like sometimes the boats are late, sometimes you're on a quick boat and a slow boat. But I gotta say, like Densenzano, the train station is quite good. Like once you know, it's definitely easier to navigate, but you have to go there with patience.
You have to go. It's the Italian kind of saying piano piano. Everything is
Piano.
slow, everything's chill. You can't be in a rush, and so long as you go with that effect, then I think transport's okay. If you're racing back at 8 a.m. to get back for a 4 p.m. shift in Florence, not so good.
Yeah, and the boat doesn't come in till 8:30. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, no venom. Accommodation, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think that there are really good cheap options. There were some cheaper like Airbnb and booking.com options, and then they do the package deals, like the holiday deals, and then there's your more kind of higher end hotels, and then it goes all the way up to like fancy 5-star, almost like Como style. So I think that there's a really good variation in prices in and availability.
Yeah, I'd agree. I give it a 9 as well. I was very impressed with the kind of the level of even the basic rooms that we got in some hotels. Like even in Densenzano, we got a small little hotel room, but like brand new state of the art showers. The room was like absolutely spotless clean.
It was one of the
aircon,
cleanest
like
yeah.
stupidly clean. The level of accommodation, I think, in Lake Garda in general, especially quality versus price point, is just brilliant.
And
Absolutely
just for everyone for reference, I think that Lake Garda was one of our more expensive areas. Again, we had already mentioned that it was at the end of our holidays, so we knew that we wanted to treat ourselves. We had booked Lake Garda in advance because we knew we were going to end up broke at the end. But for that extra maybe 15-20 euro per night, we did end up either getting a pool or a spa or breakfast included
or a cable car up the mountain, or
yeah.
there is a lot of different.
Yeah, and staying in the hotels, it did mean that you were given either vouchers or discount codes or all that kind of stuff. So I do really think that staying in a hotel in Lake Garda is the way to go.
Oh yeah, because we got the discount for the cable car, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, from one of the hotels in Simone.
Yeah, I think it was like a 20% discount or something. So that was really beneficial. The food, I'm gonna give the food like again, I'm being overly generous because I want it to do well in the leaderboard, but I'm going to give it an 8. I think we've been there a couple of times now, even going through Densenzano. The food has always been like quite solid, but I do think the menus are slightly tourist catered.
They are, yeah.
But that makes it really, really handy if you're going with a group or if you're, you know, if you're with a picky eater. They do have pizza, pasta, and then they also do fresh fish from the lake. So there's a wide variety of stuff on a lot of the menus, and the wine is incredible. So
yeah, I give it an 8.5, probably being way too generously as well compared to like other cities that we've been to in Italy. Um, but it is because Venice is one of the best seafood places, and that's where Lake Garda gets their supply of seafood. So I know like the quality that we've had there has been very good, but it's not as great as other cities, but it's still very much up there for variety.
There's a lot of variety, and the fact that
Big
there's like
variety.
places to get brunch, and like sometimes your meals can be included in hotels and
Yeah,
stuff
so I
like
think
that.
that's why I give it an 8.5, because you can dip in between Italian cuisine back to like breakfast brunchy things that we love, meat and fish. Because obviously, if you go to like somewhere like Florence, it's meat. If you go to somewhere like Salerno, it's fish. But like Lake Garda had a great balance of both.
Yeah.
So it is really well catering towards people. So I think that's why I definitely give it
and I
a
think
slightly
after
higher score than maybe it deserves for like outstanding culinary experiences. I would give it a lower score. But I gotta say, Sticks holds it high in my
Sticks
value.
is giving it like 7 points.
I was gonna say, yeah, Sticks. We're being so biased because like we're just like Sticks. It's class.
Oh, I can't wait to set up like Sticks in Ireland.
I know.
We should set up like a GoFundMe,
so
a GoFundMe like bucket outside of their place. Then fun. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. We've been back there twice. I would definitely go back there again. The fact that there's so many different water sports at an affordable price, the fact that the boats are amazing, the fact that there's Mount Baldo, you can go skiing in the winter, you can like there's Gardaland, there's
Gardaland, there's aqua parks, there's adventure everywhere, and it's 9.5 I think is absolutely warranted.
Yeah, and there was like olive oil places to go and try stuff. There was like wineries that you can go to. There was
like even like limoncello places, like even up the north. It's not as good as obviously the south at any means, but like there was still, it was still, we got like a free lemon marmalade from one of the hotels that was lovely. So I think overall fun, Lake Garda, you just have everything.
Yeah, you really do. And then value for money, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Same. 9 out of 10 for sure. It was like for what we experienced, for what we paid, it was one of the best times we had in Italy.
Yeah. So that brings the overall score to 85.5. Oh, so it beats Rome by 0.5.
Beats Rome by 0.5.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I think
I thought it would have bet Rome by more.
No, I think it's also we just have such an affinity for it, but Rome does have so many options.
Because the transport kind of
the transport really brought it down, to be fair,
for sure.
And I don't know. I think it's if you only get like if you've already been to Italy, if you've been to Rome, or if you've been to Venice, and you just want like Italian vibes, but maybe you have a family, or maybe you're going with a group. I think that Lake Garda is like the perfect thing, because you don't need to make an itinerary. You don't need to plan stuff. You can be like, no, let's go. And everything, once you're on the lake, there are so many options. And if you just want to chill, riverside or like lakeside and have a drink.
But that's it. You can sit in a little cafe restaurant, look at the boat times, you can see where you want to go. If you're in the south, you have all the great options for like more family friendly kid adventures. Or if you want to go up the north, if you're a couple and you want to relax and just have some quiet time. Or then if you want to go either for a bit of nightlife, you have all the options. So it is just,
Any more notes on Lake Garda?
On Lake Garda,
just go.
Go there.
Take us with you.
We'll meet you there. We'll be in that little kiosk. We'll be waiting for you with the sticks.
Shout out to the kiosk people. If anyone listens to this and then goes to Riva del Garda, can you just like show them our picture and just tell them how much we love them?
They might even have our picture on the wall.
No, I don't think they quite took our picture, but it's oh god, what a staple. I just hope that becomes a tourist destination, because it was.
I love, because I was looking at it today online and the reviews are amazing.
Yeah, it's like 4.7 on Google.
4.7 out of 120 reviews, and it's just everyone's like, the family is so lovely, and like the seafood makes it so brilliant, and like, everything is like not greasy and so well cooked with love, and it's like, yes.
Do we just love Lake Garda because of sticks?
No. Maybe.
No, perfect holiday destination. Would definitely bring a group of friends up there sometime soon, and I think definitely maybe early 2024 we'll be going back up there for a holiday.
100%.
We're Jane and Cormac. We hope you enjoyed our big Lake Garda episode and come back next time where we'll have a short episode about Lake Como. If you liked our podcast, then please subscribe and please give us a 5-star review. It's free and takes just a couple of seconds. You can follow us on socials at AltLivin and the Irish Expat Podcast on TikTok. You can download our Excel sheet with all of our accommodation, restaurant, transport, experience and budget details for our 6-week holiday on altlivin.com. Go to Lake Garda!
Go Lake Garda! Sticks!
Sticks!